Girls, what's the downside of being a female? Having to go to the secret cult meetings every month. Hey, at least we get out of the house once a month. You're saying periods, what about the period shits? Correct me if I'm wrong, but even if you get no cramps, the poops I get during makes me feel unworthy of love. That's the best part. I feel cleansed afterwards. I don't find males being able to pee standing fair at all. Like when camping outdoors. Shit sucks. FR. Now I gotta open my whole vagina up to spiders and snakes. I'm already worried about it on an actual toilet. Just make one of the guys hold you while you go. A lot of women would find this as lucky, but I get my period for 1 to 2 days every month. It hurts so bad. I showed my sister one of my bloody pads, and she said maybe you're having a miscarriage. Have you ever had an ultrasound to check for fibroids and or ovarian cysts? I have both, and they cause so much pain as well as excessive bleeding. There were times I too genuinely thought I might be miscarrying. Birth control keeps mine under control, and I have very little pain or bleeding anymore. Boobs in the summer in the south. Humidities. The complications that come with a vagina. BV again. UT? Yeast infection from the UT antibiotics. BV came back cause of the yeast infection that you got treating your UT? Such a pain sometimes. Tight pants? Wore the same pair of underpants an hour too long? Couldn't quite wipe thoroughly enough because the public bathroom didn't have much TP. Enjoy your BV and or UT and or yeast infection. Someone already said it, but I gotta add to it. Being a busy woman with a period. I work in an executive, fast-paced kitchen. Imagine for a minute, having a flu with the worst stomach cramps ever, nauseous, having to poop constantly and a fever. Now imagine all of that, and having to work in that fast-paced environment, wanting to just lay down, and make the pain stop, but knowing you can't. Having it happen for a full 5 to 7 days every month, 10 hours at a time. You can't call out, and have to act like you're not going through the most painful experience, because it would make your coworkers uncomfortable. That is what most working women go through. I had to change my job because of this, and eventually I was diagnosed with endometriosis, and had a surgery. Having periods. That's why I cut my balls every month, to show sympathy. Having pain be dismissed by doctors, or having them assume you're being dramatic. Had a 10 centimeter hemorrhage cyst on my ovary, and was forced to wait for 8 hours doubled over in pain. Once I was finally seen, the radiologist was shocked I hadn't been seen sooner. Have also been told my cysts was just middle schmers, pretty much ovulation pain, and was told to take Tylenol. Infuriating. Edit to add the doctor who said it was just normal pain never bothered to actually do an ultrasound. I found that any mention of ovarian cysts makes like 50% of doctors and nurses suddenly start treating me like a kindergartner with a boo-boo. Having to go to the gynecologist. I literally get lightheaded every time I think of it. And trying to hold in an imaginary fart while they're nose deep. Laying in the stirrups thinking, oh god, I hope I don't fart. Oh god, now I feel like I have to fart. JFC, can they see my butthole clenching? The safety first mindset. Examples. Being scared of being alone because of the risk of being attacked/raped. If we are extra careful, then we are paranoid, because not all men. If we are not careful enough, then we almost had it coming, or you shouldn't have. Also, being nice. Some have said I shouldn't be so nice because it can be misleading, but you know what? Some situations I've been so scared of saying a straight no because I didn't know the reaction. Better safe than sorry. I'm a nurse. I have had a patient who was being sex trafficked. When we found out, the amount of my co-workers who said, but he was so nice, about the trafficker who came to visit the patient in the hospital, infuriated me. Groomers usually are nice. Why are you so fucking surprised? Depends on where you live. Some women have essentially no rights. I read a post last night about a 9-year-old girl being sold off as a child bride, and her 14-year-old brother was the only reason she was saved. What the fuck, y'all? I feel physically ill just thinking about all the people in human trafficking right now as I type this. Not taken seriously by doctors, especially when it comes to lower abdomen pain caused by endometriosis. You have extreme period pains? Nah, it's normal. Nothing is wrong. You feel a constant stabbing pain? It's just constipation, or you just have vibes. So many women gets falsely diagnosed with IBS or constipation when the pain it's caused by endometriosis. 1 in 10 women have endometriosis, but on average it still takes 8 years to get a diagnosis. All because doctors don't want to run the test needed to find out the problem. I've gotten lucky. It's only taken me 4 years. But it's weird that 4 years can even be considered lucky. I'm lucky with one of my doctors. I couldn't get in to see a new gyno before I ran out of birth control, so I asked my primary doctor to. His wife also has endometriosis, so he understood that I needed the specific dosage to skip my cycle every month and refilled it for me. He also understands my mental health struggles and really worked with me to get me on the right meds. Compassionate doctors are out there, but can be hard to find. I'm a woodworker. The amount of time I waste while men in hardware stores digest that is truly stunning. They mostly seem pretty delighted about a woman with tools, but skeptical to various degrees too. And even having to listen to them tell me how great it is that I'm doing what I'm doing, my @$an job, people, is exhausting. I just want to pick up my materials and go back to my shop. Once upon a time I decided I'm going to be a person who walks more. It's good for the environment and good for me. So I decided that, rather than driving to the bank, I was going to walk to the bank, for once. It was 1.5 miles. I put on a sports bra and sweatpants and a baseball cap. Also a shirt. I wasn't just walking around in a sports bra. A man in a car pulled over because he wanted to talk to me. I smiled but waved him off and told him I had a boyfriend. He continued to drive next to me creepily. I tried my best to ignore it, but became increasingly annoyed, closing off my posture, looking at my phone, etc., etc. Finally he sped up, and I was like, oh thank God, he's given up. No. He sped up, so he could turn into a driveway ahead of me, corner me, and try again to ask me out. I never walked to the bank again. Male violence and the threat of male violence. Fucking bullshit, persistently disruptive nonsense that men will never understand and probably get mad at me for even articulating. I've been raped. I've been stalked. I've had to get police involved. And I just become increasingly wary of even being out and in the world. The idea that women are just some spin-off of men. Example, only recently has it become more common knowledge that women experience heart attacks differently than men, because men's bodies and experiences have just always been considered the default. Heart attacks, autism presentation, presentation, nutrition, not that we know much about that at all, TBH, hormone cycles for physical training, a lot of STIs, fucking car test dummies are just smaller dude versions. Not to mention they do not understand nerves in the cervix. IUD insertion and cervical biopsy should not be unmedicated procedures. People questioning me every time I say I don't want kids. I can never as a girl not imagine not being vigilant all the time. I wonder what that feels like. Taylor Swift literally was groped under her dress during a fan meet and greet by a man. Security was there. Hundreds of people were there. She's Taylor Swift _ and it still happened. She had the resources to take him to court and destroy him, but fuck. One case out of billions. People don't take me seriously sometimes. Combine that with having a baby face. I feel like I get talked down to a lot because I look much younger than I am. I'm 22 but usually get assumed to be somewhere between 13 and 17, 18 at best, if I'm at a club or college. Being physically weaker I hated with a passion, because I want to be strong like a guy. It sucks not being able to lift things, not be as fast, and to have people think you need protection or help all the time. Hearing people talk about how horrible girls/women are, and how women are overly emotional, tricking men, are bad friends, etc. I sometimes feel like I shouldn't show any emotions, and should act as much like a guy as possible. Periods and pregnancy. I relate so hard to this. My own dad asked why I was so masculine once. IDK dad, maybe it was cause I thought I had to be, to get an ounce of respect. I'm not a woman, but I'm married to an awesome one. I'm floored by the way some people treat her. Mechanics, carpenters, financial advisors etc. They only want to talk to the man, and when they have to interact with her they treat her like an idiot. Makes me mad. Especially because she is the brains and the money manager in our relationship. That happened to me and it really upset me. I took my car to the mechanic because the right daylight wasn't working and they didn't understand me. So my boyfriend repeated the same thing and they all finally got it. And instead of talking to me about the repairs / quote etc, they all went to him and even took him to go see what they did, even though it was my car, my appointment, and my money. Walking home from work at night and being harassed or followed by men. About 2 years ago I was followed on my way home after doing some grocery shopping. Unhinged guy yelling obscenities and rape threats at me, then he started to run after me. I had to run to keep distance between us. Broke one sandal and the other flew off. Had to cut through backyards and random streets before doing a wide loop to get home. Feet were cut up but nothing that needed stitches. While I washed away the bits of gravel, dirt, and glass, I called my neighbors to warn them, then called a crisis assistance hotline to try and find the guy. Now I always wear sneakers. Even if it is just a quick lap around the block. Even if I will be with family and friends. Even if I'm wearing a cute dress. Always sneakers. I'll pick something less obvious, being an avid gym goer. I'm tired of men thinking their workouts are more important. That they can take something I'm clearly using and telling me to wait. Oh, and getting blatantly gawked at while at the gym and having photos / videos taken of you while there without permission. Edit. Another point that I forgot to mention before I went to sleep. The amount of guys who corner you in the gym trying to get your number, social media handle, or to ask you on a date. I once had a guy stop me mid-rep on leg press by waving his hand in front of me to get my phone number so that I could take him on a date. People take equipment you're using and tell you to wait. Oh boy, I'd freak the fuck out at them. The way hormones fuck with your body. First puberty, then childbirth, and top it all off with menopause. Don't forget the monthly cycle. That to affordably get an IUD in rural BC you can't have any pain relief at its insertion. You're expected to tough it out. Edit. I've noticed that this isn't a problem. That is just to Canada, and to be honest I believe that European countries would offer numbing or something else. I'm horrified to hear that my story of nearly fainting on the table in silence twice is not just my story, and I wish they would treat this procedure properly. I've read all your stories, and I'm sorry for each and every horror one. As for the ones who did manage to get pain relief of some kind, I'm so glad to hear that. I'm glad your experience was not mine, ours, collective of women with stories like this, and I hope that is the future of this procedure. Wait, are painkillers for IUD insertion a thing? My nurse just told me to take ibuprofen and held my hand lol, and I'm in New York City. Anytime you express yourself or get upset about something, even if it's something to get legitimately upset about, you almost always get a reyour period. Arseholes be roid raging 24/7, but somehow women are the emotional ones. Well, let's see. I grew boobs at 8 and started experiencing sexual harassment from middle-aged men. Also, started my period. I wasn't allowed to participate in certain things. Hunting with my dad, playing certain sports, cause I'm a girl. Been sexually assaulted and physically assaulted multiple times. Men think it's not that big of a deal, and that women did something to make harassment and attacks happen. Can't walk by myself without being on guard. Can't come back to my car from the grocery store without checking the backseat. Can't go to the bar without guarding my drink. Childbirth, near death. Body image issues, breastfeeding, losing societal value after weight gain, being the primary caregiver, being criticized for career vs stay-at-home choices. My pants don't have pockets, but my 2Y/O son does. Women's products cost more. People who think sexism doesn't exist, or that this is the time to talk about men's issues. The list goes on. You can't win whatever you do. You are beautiful, you're shallow and probably dumb, you are not cute, you're a slob, you're skinny, trophy wife, you're fat, disgusting pig, you're smart and independent, too aggressive and not approachable, you're not too bright, gold digger bimbo. There is always something people just find to criticize. Men's fav word to describe me when I'm being difficult is abrasive. Like, yeah, I'm intentionally rubbing you the wrong way. I don't wanna rub you at all. If I must, I hope it feels wrong. Having a ton of emphasis be on your looks. being treated as an equal by male peers at a young age, then hitting puberty and suddenly being perceived as some sort of foreign entity, not being able to chat to male friends without them sexualizing you, or just seeing you as a human being walking down the street in a dress and getting stared at, but also walking down the street in professional work attire and still being leered at, because the male gaze is inescapable, and every form of womanhood has been fetishized, from schoolgirl to mother, from sister to teacher to nurse to librarian. We aren't just humans trying to exist in this crazy world. We are entertainment and eye candy for men who feel entitled to us. Really does make you feel insignificant and small at times. Also, the fact that most men refuse to understand and accept this and tend to default to being offended at the mention of it. Also, a lot of men act like a woman being unattractive is the biggest sin she could commit. They will glare at you for just existing and refuse to talk to you even in professional settings. It's exhausting.